Xtra Factor and what a dramatic night it's been. I want to find out all of the inside information. There is only one group of people I can turn to, and it's this week's Xfactor Insiders. Choreographer Sisco Gomez, head stylist Gemma Sheppard, and of course, we could not have an 80s week without Sinitta. Guys, it was 80s weekend.
That's right.
Sisco, I'm coming to you first.
Hit me.
Now, there were a lot of changes, you know, in terms of song changes and people swapping and I'm going to do this and now I'm going to do Rick Astley. You know, which of the contestants dealt with it the best, would you say?
Do you know what, Stevie's really? Such a pleasure. You know, he's changed a million times, and we were on stage while the crowd were coming in, and he was like, right, Sisco, what have I got to do now? And I'm like, Stevie here, and he's like, right, so thank you so much. He'll thank all the dance. He's an absolute pleasure and a professional.
Really?
Yes.
And what's his dancing like?
Oh, I love it. It's odd chic. Like, he is so wrong, it's right. You know, like when you're in the pub and you see someone go off in the corner and you're like, you go! That's him with a little finesse.
But he's got like the pirouettes and all of that stuff.
Listen, Brian's been teaching him. He does the double very good now.
Ooh. Do you think he pulled it off ultimately?
Absolutely. He's absolutely flawless as an artist. He gives 110% and he dances and sings with passion and 100% commitment. That's all we can ask for.
And that's the thing, A for effort, isn't it? If someone gives it all, their all, that's so important.
Exactly. I give him an A-star, to be honest. He's an absolute dream to work with.
Amazing. We love Stevie. Bless him. Now, next week, a very exciting week.
I mean...
Movie week.
Yes.
What have you got in store? You must be well excited about that theme.
Well, I am going to give one thing away.
What?
It's going to be very saucy and thrashy and hot, and I love my girls.
How can it get any hotter than the dances that Stevie Ritchie's got?
Come on, it's Sisco Gomez, babes. Come on. Can't give it all away.
I love that. Who's going to get hot and steamy? Just give me one thing.
Who do you think?
Stevie Ritchie and the dancers?
Maybe.
Oh, you're going to have so much fun with this, I can tell.
Right.
Gemma. How are you?
I'm really good.
Looking fabulous, girl.
Oh, thanks, working it.
Now, 80s.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people on Twitter were saying it's about, you know, bright colours and it's about being vivid and
but
loud.
we were very clear at the beginning that we were very much about saluting it rather than doning it. We didn't want it to be a fancy dress. I mean, this is where, as I said last week, it's the Marmite of the show, and that is why the show is so brilliant, because people get involved in that whole, you know, exchange on Twitter.
Yeah.
But the whole thing for me was we actually made the sets fabulous by the dancers really embodying the whole 80s vibe, but also their props were. And I think that if you then put the artists in it, it starts to look karaoke, and it's too much. And I think that for me, actually, what people are missing is that so much of what we see on the high street today is influenced by the 80s. So actually what we're doing in our everyday life is influenced. If you look at all of those acts from the 80s, it's there, it's a reference. And, you know, to be fair, I think the only one who didn't was Chloe.
Yeah.
But the creative around Chloe was smoky and it was very beautiful. And it wasn't an 80s reference. So I agree with them on that one.
Right.
But with the rest, I think it was all subtle salutes.
Although she did have the glossy red lip, which is
she
the
had the
80s.
glossy red
But, you know,
lip.
speaking of Chloe Jasmine, she is out of the competition. What are your thoughts on this double elimination result?
Devastating.
Mistake.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think,
light
Gemma?
has gone out.
Oh, I just, you know, I think it's about light and shade, and I think that it's, you know, it's a tough competition this year, and I think there are so many brilliant acts. But Chloe actually, and one thing that I think is really important, and I've been, anybody who is following me on Twitter and Instagram, I'm obsessed with her. She genuinely is, along with Stevie and everybody else. They're such sweet contestants, but she is enchanting, and you know, she never ever complains, and she's had a really bad swollen foot all week. She puts her heels on, she's on the stage, and she's a true pro, but moreover, she's hugely entertaining.
Yeah, and like you said, she never complains,
No.
and she's such a lovely person. Sinitta, what did you think of the result?
Oh, horrible. Horrible. I think it's like losing a light.
She's a star.
Yeah,
You walk into a room
really
and you're
is.
happy that she's there.
Let me ask you a question. Would you have got rid of the boys then instead?
So this is difficult.
Because you said it was like an 8-day buffet.
An 8-day buffet. No answer, Sinitta. I still think that. Sorry, mothers of the boys. But what I'm trying to say, I do see people's point with there being too many. Like maybe they need to do, you know, like Magpie, 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy. It's a way of remembering their names and getting to know them and their groups and who's into what. But honestly, when they sing, it is magical. You know? It is incredible.
Now, I want to ask you a couple of things. First of all, Simon tweeted about Jay James saying that he thought he made a great performance. Do you think that Simon thinks that he's his golden ticket to the final? You're his BFF. You know the gossip.
Do you know what? Worse than that, I think that if Simon Cowell could sing, he'd want to be Jay James.
Do you think he was? Do you think
That's
Cowell
what he likes. I think he'd be that. You've seen like the white T-shirt, the jeans.
He loves it.
Well, yeah,
you know, the songs he sings and
Buttons
everything.
down to here. He loves
See what
it.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Another question. I know you've always got gossip for me. I hung out with you in LA. I know you always know the scoop on stuff. You know I know.
It's not that I like to...
Have you got anything?
It's not that I like to gossip.
Give me a nugget of info.
Look. So you know how they all say that they're like just friends, family, and that they're not, nobody's
Lies.
hooking up, and it's not like that. It's not like that.
What is it?
So I think it's sort of true. However, Barkley from Stereo Kicks is trying to get somebody in the house to dump her boyfriend to be with him.
Oh, you are kidding! Allegedly, of course.
So I can't say that yet because she has a man. She has a man.
Okay, fair enough. We don't want to upset the relationship.
But if she does, I will tell you.
Now listen, I want to give you guys a massive news flash. It's actually Sinitta's birthday today, so. I'm into the mood. And a present for you.
Look at me. This is me.
That was a very sheer top you wore back then. I'm just
that
saying.
was me in the 80s when I was 2.
Guys, you guys can absolutely come back again soon. You've been
Thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you.
Now, if you're sitting at home keen to learn some more inside information on the show, contestants and judges, then we want to hear from you. And here's how you can get in touch.